The scariest part of the fact that we don't know is that we claim we do. Boom, 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 boom. Actually, that's probably confusing if we have intro music playing and Seven Nation Army, one of the greatest songs, one of the greatest rock songs of all time. Almost thrown away and not added to the album. 15 minutes to write the whole song. I think I've talked about that before on this podcast. Amazing, amazing track from the White Stripes. This episode has nothing to do with that, but it does have to do with the fact that we don't know shiznit. About a month ago or so, we did an episode on I don't know. The three words that unlock awareness, wisdom, cultivation of the intellect, clarity. Starting with, instead of knowing, it's starting with, I don't know. I don't know what's good for me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what is the best path forward. It's that letting go of this juvenile need to know everything, to say, I know. It's like, the worst team member in any professional team is the one that as soon as you start talking about something that you know quite a bit about and you know they don't know anything about, they start going, I know. Our 6-year-old daughter does that all the time. I know. I used to do that all the time. I ran myself and first 2 attempts at building startups into the ground because I just constantly was so insecure of not knowing that I convinced myself I knew, and I just was not open to the words, I don't know. Man, did work get it got so much easier when I started to really embrace, I don't know. And this episode is an extension of that. We don't know. Collectively, the average person goes through a few different degrees, a few different careers, several, if they're lucky, several mentors, has a few kids, is a part of a few different communities, and that average person has no idea who they are, what they're doing, why they or why humanity is here. And they have no idea where they're going. It is compounding ignorance internally within that average person and compounding ignorance externally with themselves, in the midst of experts, their communities. The professor that chairs the philosophy department is twice divorced. 2 kids that don't talk to him. We do not know what we're doing, who we are, the purpose of being here, nor do we know where we're going. The scariest part of the fact that we don't know is that we claim we do. There are 30,000 denominations of Christianity, for example. I just happen to know that stat, that there are estimated 30,000 different denominations of Christianity. And yet, every pastor, assuming the position on the pulpit on every Sunday morning, gives a sermon as if they know what Christ meant, as if they know what Christianity is. With phrases like, this is what Paul was saying, or what Christ was saying was ... This philosophy doesn't just emphasize the power of I don't know, but even when it comes to the guru, the teacher, it's said so point blank of, well, who knows what Swamiji meant? In addition to Swamiji, my other teacher, Joseph, who I host Yoga for Your Intellect with, the conversational longer form podcast that you can check out at yfyi.co or yogaforyourintellect.com or in the show notes to these episodes. But he'll often say this phrase of, it's always questionable to try to guess what Swamiji meant when he said ... Or he'll always back away from a question of, what's Swami like? He'll say, well, I can tell you what my experience is like, but I don't know what he's going through. I have no idea what enlightenment is like. There's so much space, cushion, almost like a stiff arming from an imposition of, you should know, or you do know, or tell me what Swami said, or tell me what Christ meant, or tell me what the Buddha meant. These are lighthouses for the world and have been for thousands of years. Their words are illuminating, to say the least. But to try to speak with this authority of this is what they meant, not only does that arrest our reflection, the ever-growing reflection on these words that have infinite dimensions to them, to where at 25 they have this meaning. 5 years later, at 30, they have a different meaning. 5 years after that, it's like a blooming flower that just gets richer and richer, has more dimensions to it, and never stops. Not only is that the case with these words, but there is no way to digest, to grok the depth, the richness of the words of these masters. If you say, well, this is what he meant, this is what she meant, this is what was said. And the reflection for today is underscoring the reverence for I don't know and we don't know. Throughout this podcast, I might give my own color, commentary, my view on what's been helpful and illuminating for me in my own spiritual path, but we don't know what these timeless words really mean, because the meaning, the depth, grows as you chew on them. Just the eternal principle that I mention often on this podcast, attach you gain, detach you lose. Or another one, that which is like poison in the beginning is like nectar in the end. That which is like nectar in the beginning is like poison in the end. Those two, they gain richness every day, every week, every year. Nearly 10 years into first reading them. And it's a progression, a depth, an ever-increasing depth, to the point where you just let go and not try to like get your arms around a phrase like that, which is like poison in the beginning is like nectar in the end. That which is like nectar in the beginning is like poison in the end. You just kind of fascinatingly watch it grow in its dimensions. We don't know what the Upanishads are saying. There are individuals that know. There are people throughout history that have known. But very few. Certainly not coming from my mouthpiece. And the reverence that's placed on that foundation of not knowing, that creates the space to know. And sadly, the opposite is just as true. When that space is taken away with I know, or we know that what was meant by these words, ... The sad, unfortunate truth is that negates the necessary space the necessary wonderment to ever actually know. That's today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.